It says I'm live. Hope you got my claps. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Political Recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. I've been thinking about renaming that. I'm kidding. Joining me, as always, is my delicious, scrumptious co-host, Trups. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups today?
Trups is doing okay. I like everybody else on Twitter the past week has been, glued to the Rittenhouse trial, so that's always fun.
That's pretty much why the stream's called The Trial of 2021.
True.
It's not even clickbait at this point.
Well, you would have thought that it would have been the George Floyd and what's his face
Chauvin.
trial. Yeah, Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty big.
But no, more people, I think, are drawn to this than they were to that.
I still stand by what I said when that happened. It was a very odd sentence and trial. I don't know. It didn't look like a trial based on evidence for the entire of it. It looked more like a trial based on, well, we need to stop people rioting.
Yes. Well, watching the Rittenhouse trial and watching people comment on it has been both exciting and mind-numbing.
It's very funny to watch because on my Twitter especially, it is right down the middle. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna not say anything because I have a feeling on Twitter, especially if I said anything, I knew I was gonna get crap for it. But I just instead what I did was I put Ranting Monkey's coverage on, Dire Wolf his coverage on. He never replied to me in the chat, so I stopped watching him. Go fuck yourself, Dire Wolf. If I can get Ranting Monkey to say hello to me, you should say hello too. Notice me, senpai.
True.
And of course, I'm joking. If you see this and you get offended, you know I'm joking. We've spoken before. But I've been watching people talk, and I've seen some Crowder coverage. I've seen some other coverage from the Young Turks backpedaling a little bit on their original coverage.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of things about this trial that we're going to end up talking about today, but from comments like that. But
we are not going to cover that. Not just yet. The majority of the stream is going to be that. But I think before we get to the thing you wanted to talk, I'm going to quickly. Where is it? I'm going to gloss over. So I noticed. Oh, by the way, there is in our tab you'll see juicy small bits trending. That's something that's related to this is the Rittenhouse stuff. That's just for you if you want to look at it later. A lot of MPs during the week in the United Kingdom were trending. Geoffrey Cox, the more notable, he is was the Attorney General in the UK. We discussed him before because he was brought to tears almost because of how people backed him over, I can't remember what now, but he got a lot of crap, and I think, if I remember correctly, I think we took his side. Now, many MPs have other jobs. I personally take no issue with that. You make your money, you make your bread. As long as you can do your job as an MP to the highest standard, I don't care. MP salary is about 81,000. If you're in government or in a cabinet position, or shadow cabinet even as well, chances are your salary is a little bit higher, a considerable bit higher, in fact, depending on where you are in the totem pole. But MPs with second jobs has been trending all week in this country, and I was considering doing a video on it, but then I realised there wasn't a version of it where I could just say, they're making money, I don't give a shit. I'm just jealous I'm not making that kind of money. Geoffrey Cox, for example. Geoffrey Cox made £900,000 last year from consultations because of his legal expertise. A lot of it was in, is it the Caribbean, or however you pronounce it? If any of that was a conflict of interest with his job in Parliament, then of course that's a concern. But at the same time, I really don't care. Some might say, maybe he shouldn't be claiming parliamentary expenses for secretaries and all the other people that he employs. That's not the same thing at all. That job is not the same as his parliamentary job. There are other MPs that are making tens of thousands, maybe one or two with over 100 grand. I think Keir Starmer, the leader of the opposition, made over 100,000. Some actually went in on other MPs of the past. For example, Gordon Brown, former Prime Minister for 3 years. He was the Chancellor of the Exchequer for 10 years under New Labour. He was asked, you said, you earned nearly £1 million in 2015 on top of your parliamentary wage, as if it was a question. To which he actually, and this is true, he, in a rather based response, said, no, actually, I didn't. I gave all the money to charity, and I've always done that. See, Gordon Brown already had money. Not because he was wealthy or came from wealth, but he'd made his money and he made enough to get by and he didn't want to have all the excess money. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason it's been deemed a big scandal, by the way, that's made him based, apparently. I tend to agree with that sentiment, minus the fact he sold our gold at its lowest possible value, and while he did lead the attempted recovery of our economy, he ultimately did fail at it. But I do find it quite sad that people now are they're claiming this is a bigger scandal than MP's expenses, where some were claiming for a freaking duck house. Not a joke either. They literally claimed a parliamentary expense for a duck house. Okay, but it was
like a chicken coop, but for ducks.
Yeah, in the middle of a pond. Yeah, I believe it's like a birdhouse in the sense of a house with a big stick that goes down and that touches the floor. Well, possibly with some weight attached to it, and then it stays stable. But this has been deemed more of a scandal, and I couldn't disagree more with it, because I don't care if they're making money away from Parliament at all, as long as they can do their job, which I think everyone can agree with. Tell me, do congressmen, senators, and all that, do they do? I mean, I wouldn't expect senators to.
Do they have other jobs?
Would Congress, let's say them more notably, have other jobs or other interests outside of their, political job?
Other interests, sure. I don't know if I would say that they have other jobs.
Do they have to declare it?
Yes.
So that's, as far as I'm concerned, that holding that same sort of like standard of...
they have to, but sometimes those reports get buried.
I mean, that's understandable. Here, they don't. They never do. We're very open about this. And when people try... I mean, currently the Tories are actually getting caught up in a few sleazy little scandals. But this is not one of them. Okay? Mm-hmm. Them earning money is not a scandal. It really isn't, because nearly everyone does it. If you're not doing it, chances are that's your fault. Have you considered the job at Poundland at least, just to top your coffer up? It means nothing. But other issues, there are a few other problems, but we're not going to get into those because they're boring. But this one, to me, is not as much of a mountain as people are making it out to be. It is, in fact, just a molehill.
Yeah, definitely. I know that in our case, like there are individuals in Congress and in the Senate who have, we're going to call it other interests and other financial interests as well. And when I say that they have to declare it, sometimes they have to have a running thing of like, for example, what they invest in to try and prevent quote unquote insider trading. However, functionally, I'll tell you that it'll work.
The other thing that relates to Gordon Brown is he believes that a public office being used to public gain should be banned outright, naming that there are 3 issues here: a conflict of interest, appointments to the House of Lords, because that happened. Okay, the Conservatives kind of do have a track record for just giving it to their millionaire buddies, and also foreign money being used in UK politics. The thing is, you can just say that for anyone, cause it becomes very subjective unless you start to lay down some standards. Those standards have to be decided upon by an outsider watchdog, not by Parliament, because that will be skewed by either the government in office or enough salty people on the other side who aren't making as much money. It has to be done independently. And I do agree with the appointment to the Lords, because that's wrong. Foreign money in UK politics, I think that's... When they then use that to reference Geoffrey Cox, you'd have to prove it first, because and since he's in law, this makes sense. Innocent until proven guilty, don't use him as an example of it. And the conflict of interest, again, is something you've got to prove as well. And they're not really... Gordon Brown is right with these 3 issues, But in the case of every MP that has a job away from Parliament, you've got to prove this stuff.
Right. And I don't think that's a hard ask.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I can see where people would get, a little upset because a lot of people really like genuinely think that let's use like mayors for instance in the United States. Mayors usually have to have a different way to make their money. Yes, they get a salary for being a mayor, but it's usually about teacher's wage, which is if they were any kind of engineer or anything above that, um, they're losing money technically by working as a mayor. So I could understand if they still do consulting jobs or things of that
I'd like
thing,
to
but you
insert.
really have to watch that.
I'd like to insert an example. So we won't use the mayor. I'll first of all mention that for the sake of it, in UK mayor, for example, Sadiq Khan, he makes a six-figure salary. But then I'm going to go to a different mayor. I'm going to go to an American one that I know of because I know he made his money somewhere else for years. Kane, mayor of Knoxville.
Oh yeah, well he gets royalties, so that's a bit different.
It's not just that. No, he doesn't really do anything wrestling. He does the odd appearance.
Well, right, but I mean like royalties for anything that still sells of his. So any
Yes,
WWE merch,
very,
contract,
very little merch. But you are right. He does get a little bit from that. But he made his millions already, so really it isn't much of a hit on him anyway. I just wanted to point out because even if he's earning a shit salary, it doesn't matter too much for him because he's set.
Plus, yeah, I was gonna say, plus like everything that he's ever made in life.
He was making at least $1 million a year at his peak.
Yeah, and not to mention, I'm pretty sure if you got invited to things like WrestleMania, Hells in Cells, Royal Rumbles, and stuff like that, you actually got an additional stipend on top of it.
Yeah, you got decent money. I remember them going through the numbers once. It's pretty good. But just wanted to insert it. So while we're in America, Biden.
Oh yeah, Biden.
Just before you even get into that, how's he doing? Did he get a good nap? Someone changed his diaper.
I don't know if he's gotten a nap, but it is about 5 o'clock Eastern time for us, so he might be getting ready for bed right now.
Oh, he's definitely in bed.
However, I would say that Biden, I don't know if he's becoming cogent in his understanding of how shit he's doing. The other day, he accepted in a press conference that gas was going up and all that kind of stuff. But he used it as a way to say, "Oh, but this is how, or this is what we need to be doing in order to we need to be passing our bills so that we can get all of this, packed up in a way and handled, instead of looking at what he's been doing policy wise and thinking, well, how did we get here?
Yeah.
Things like the OPEC request that he made, I think last week. Yes, the oil conglomerate.
I've never heard of it.
Really?
Nope.
You guys not do anything with OPEC?
No, we get our oil. I think we get gas from like the north. I don't know where we get our oil from. It might be being pulled out of our politicians' asses.
OPEC is the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and they're basically the large Middle Eastern countries, Venezuela.
Oh, right.
And basically they
they want to deal with their oil because how crude it is. Although I get the feeling if we start running out in other places, we'll have to go to that oil anyway because it'll be the only oil left.
Well, I feel like we have refineries available.
Yeah, but it's not very cost effective to refine Venezuelan oil. I remember this being quite an annoying talking point. It's one of the reasons they're really suffering because they put all their money in that and then they realized, oh shit.
Right. But basically, I think it was either the beginning of this week or last week. Biden had asked OPEC to increase their oil production in order to offset the increase in price that Americans are now facing. I'm pretty sure the Europeans are experiencing it as well.
We are as well, yeah. There's an energy shortage, apparently. I have noticed with, for example, electricity here.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's actually everywhere. China, too.
If I stick £50 on the electric key here, it would last a few weeks. Now that's gone down by, I'd say it was 3 weeks, but now it's 2. So what I'm getting for that money is definitely going down, and the price is going up, which is a
Right.
concern because I can only stick about 75 on it a month to help my sisters out.
Hmm.
I have a feeling we're gonna have to rely on solar power soon. All right.
Certainly hope not. That's a rough game to play right there.
Especially this time of bloody year. It's not
Yeah,
exactly
big
optimal
time.
weather.
No, and I don't know how cold y'all get up there, but
Eh,
starting to get chilly down here.
um, let me get my phone. Let's have a look. The current temperature is 13 degrees, which is like, um,
50s.
yeah, it's only like 8 degrees below room temperature. It's not that cold at the moment.
Hmm.
It'll drop down to about 9 or 8 tonight, which isn't too
Yeah,
bad.
that's more about the level that we're at. Like we'll have like days like right now it was like 76, which is like a little bit above room temperature, and
Yeah.
then it'll drop down to like the 40s by
Out
then.
of curiosity, because now it's been mentioned in the chat, I remember seeing Sinatra tweeted out about getting $3 something for a gallon or something of gas. Is that high in America?
Yeah. Well, if he's talking about $3 being high,
Well,
then
he filled it up
I
on
know then I about
$100.
know where he is. Then
Uh,
I about know where he lives.
he's in Ohio.
Um,
I think most people know this.
mhm.
Um,
Right, but places like Ohio, places like Nebraska,
right, right.
Nevada,
Okay,
South
no,
Carolina,
I get you.
Georgia.
Yeah,
Also, the closer you get to a city, the more expensive it gets.
that's
So, like,
strange
if
because I
you're
remember some people saying that that lived in like. So I know there was a creator who lives in. Well, I say creator, not so much now. She lives in Chicago, in the city, I believe. That city, yeah, Illinois is the state. And she mentioned that it's cheaper to live in the city than it is anywhere else.
Mhm.
But then the fuel price surely kind of negates that if you drive anywhere.
It also depends because, I mean, let's be honest, the car difference between rural America and city America usually is somewhat different. There's not too many people who go down the street in, expanded, 1995 Fords or
They need to get
Tacomas, you
good
know what I
scrub
mean?
then.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have fucking what I drive, fucking CRV.
I drive my feet because I'm
You have a
exciting.
bike.
I don't even. I mean, I took a photo of the bikes the other day, but I haven't been on a bike ride for a few weeks. I ride. I walk. I do want to learn to drive though. I was thinking about doing that next year.
But it's funny because you ask, oh, that is that high. I actually had posted something on my Facebook that was, let me see here, let me pull it up. It was a picture of gas somewhere at exactly November 9th the year before, right?
Right.
And it was 157 then.
Okay.
So a year later, we have basically doubled.
Oh, well, that reminds me of some of the issues we had a few years ago here. Price of
Mhm.
fuel went up a fair amount. It's still pretty high now, in fact,
Mhm.
and I fully expect it to go higher. I remember we had only a few weeks back, well, an issue with the drivers,
Mhm.
but now that's not an issue. Now the issue is the price going up, and I mean, I
Right.
get it, but it's not going to slow people wanting, driving down and
Well,
all that.
it's an issue, definitely. We need to figure out a bit more about. Well, I don't think our government has to stop being little shitheads and actually do the job that they know they have to do.
You're asking
Which
too much.
I know, I know. They like, for example, one of our issues is we cut down the Canadian pipeline as soon as Biden got into office, right?
Is that a good
The
thing?
Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone, well, no. The Keystone Pipeline was something that we talked about at the time, just being shut down, and Canadians were like, "What the fuck?" And 20,000 workers were out of a job. Not to mention that Joe Biden put in a federal freeze of for natural gas fracking on federal lands.
Oh, really?
thus we have completely gone from the point where we were energy independent, in fact, exporting energy, to the point where we are now basically just we are dependent on foreign energy again. So that's a lot of policy decisions that our government has put into place that has led us to this point. Not to
Hmm.
mention, of course, supply chain issues and drivers. That's a secondary issue, but a lot of it starts with the fact that we can't even get it back and forth through the pipelines that we already had
Oh,
or
really?
already were going to have.
By the way, I just want to say I really appreciate others pointing out that the comment that was made to me by a fellow creator, former, um, are utter BS. Thank you, Chaos. I do appreciate this because beyond living in Norwich, which is a small city in this country.
Hmm.
I've always lived in the country prior to living here, so for me,
Hmm.
it's just convenient life, I guess. Adulting wise, it was in a city, and it wasn't. To be honest, it wasn't that expensive. It really wasn't. But then I wasn't I wasn't that much of an expensive hoe. Um, carry on. Hello, Sparky. By the way, carry on.
Yeah. Um, so I mean, we had opportunities to
Let's get
do
good.
better jobs with our energy, and policy wise we decided, I guess, we didn't want to. I don't know what the game plan is now that OPEC has basically said no, we're not going to increase production,
Mm,
besides them warning us that we're going to need to bundle up and be prepared this winter, that heating your house might be more expensive.
might want to start storing propane tanks, or just not being so greedy with how you heat your homes. Get a candle, or another blanket, or perhaps learn to tolerate the cold. I don't know.
Yeah, basically, which was very reminiscent of what Jimmy Carter said when there was a similar issue back in the day.
Do you
Um,
think this issue can be easily resolved, or is it definitely going to be one of these so it's going to keep going for a while?
right now, it's not easily resolved.
No.
It could have been easily resolved earlier, but no, not anymore. Um, it would take actual effort to undo all the things that Biden did. Because again, remember that we were able to export energy, completely energy independent under Trump. And in a day, he undid policies that ruined it. And then after that, I mean, you still have all of the issues compounding the rest of the turmoil that is, the country is experiencing.
So
I mean,
can I ask
unmitigated.
a can I ask a
Yeah,
power related question?
yeah,
You said that under Trump the country was energy independent. Yes.
yes, yes,
Now I remember the whole make America great again. Really make America strong. Put them on this platform of we can provide for ourselves and for others.
yes.
Does what Trump did, though, compromise any, let's say, climate change related bullshit that's been going on at the moment? Did he?
Some would say yes, I think.
So,
Um,
was he trying to consciously at any point look for? And I'm not trying to be a dick to any. I'm not. Was he trying
right.
to find a path forward while maintaining those services? Find an energy efficient path forward as well.
I think he was trying to look at the resources that our country had
Yeah.
available to us,
Okay.
and so I mean, take it like if we were playing a game of Civ, right?
Yeah.
If you live in an area that has iron and oil and wood, but you're buying it from fucking Greece, why? You have it. It makes no sense to be spending money this
Oh,
way.
but it's the quality of the Greeks' work and materials.
Well,
I
not
love
even
my
that. It's
olive
it's
wood.
it's that people don't like to have energy, um basically things near them. Like one of the biggest things that they've brought up is actually, I believe Blacklight was talking about it, about wind turbines. one of the most interesting things about wind turbines is that you'll notice that they don't go into the wealthy areas; they go into rural areas. Besides the fact that the rural areas, like, obviously don't have as
Well,
much
not
infrastructure
such a thing
like
here, but
cities.
yeah.
But so you're telling me that the quote unquote peasants out in the fucking woods
The
and the
sticks.
fields, they have to deal with wind turbines and stuff like that. Um, and the fact that you know if you had let's say wind turbines out in the ocean, there have been Democratic politicians in the past who are like, but it's going to obstruct my ocean view.
In this country, we put them in our ocean and in the hills, and if people complain, they can go get fucked because
Mm,
we need them. As simple
yeah.
as that. We need them. And someone's mentioned the EPA standard of your oil. This is really, it's very damaging when your politics are so poisonous, where one person goes in, does all these things, another person comes in, and then just tears it all apart straight away.
Well,
It,
remember, one of the policies that I had mentioned was fracking. This is a natural gas alternative,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
That was one of the things that really pushed us to be quote unquote energy independent. So it wasn't even oil per se.
Hmm.
It was a different form of, I'll call it a fossil fuel, but I'm not so well versed
Yeah,
in natural gas,
yeah.
not the engineering I
I'm
went
not either,
into.
to be honest. I never
Uh,
cared. Like, people getting all indignant about fracking were the same people who got indignant about nuclear power plants. Um,
I hate people who do that about nuclear power plants. As I had mentioned to Blacklight, we had a nuclear power plant going into being built around where I live, and halfway through the build, they stopped. The cooling towers are still there. I have no idea why it stopped, but everyone got a tax rebate. Um, because they stopped production on it and they had used taxpayer money to start funding it, so they gave us all our money back.
mhm. So,
Which, like, good on them, I guess.
as this ties in to Mr. Sleepyface, what has Joe Biden done this week that is so
Ah, yes.
fantastic and yet has gotten, as always, minimal coverage?
Well, as we all know, Joe Biden is a dated individual,
He's an eloquent
and
speaker.
yes, a very eloquent speaker. And unfortunately, some old habits die hard, and he might be regressing a bit in his communications about the lovely black folk who live in our country. Because at a recent at a press conference, I suppose, uh, he called a baseballer a great Negro.
But
Yes.
there's context to this.
Okay. Why don't you share it then?
No, it was the rest of the quote you said in that 19-second video. Talking about the league.
Oh. Oh yeah.
He tried to save it when he put.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
notice in the video,
Sorry, you're
when
right.
he said it, he put his hand up to try and hush people down first, so he could fully explain what he meant.
Right, because yes, the Negro Leagues was a baseball league comprised all of African Americans, and it still exists today.
That's it.
Um,
That sounds
it,
wrong.
it right, but I hear advertisements about it sometimes, and about like
Is it on Grove Street?
I don't know where it is, but I'm pretty sure they still refer to it because I think they didn't want the institution to die
Are
because
there
of what
two
it meant
teams?
historically.
The families and the ballers.
No, I don't. I
Ah,
don't
shit!
know.
Here we go again.
Have you been playing San Andreas recently?
I'm waiting for the definitive edition. I got
Good,
100%
good.
on that game, and I want to know if the cheat codes still work.
L1, L2, R1, R2, left down, right up, left down, right up.
Was that
That's
was that the
armor.
tank?
That was armor, money, and health.
Ah, I remember the ones with GTA 3. I've got them. I've actually got the San Andreas walkthrough, and inside I have a little piece of paper with all the cheat codes written on it. I never used them, to be honest, because I wanted 100%. If you use any cheat
Yeah.
codes, you can't get 100%.
Yeah, they kind of took that away from us, our ability to cheat effectively.
Yeah, but it was still fun to like. So, for example, on GTA 3, you could take a
Mhm.
car, put the flying cheat in, and go to any island and just drive about and have fun. In San Andreas, though, if you flew from Los Santos to San Fierro, you got 2 stars.
Mhm.
Well, if you did that and you weren't allowed there yet, you got 2 stars, and you could never get rid of those 2 stars. If you did it to Las Venturas, you got 4 fucking stars the moment you landed, and it was
Worth it.
absolute desert chaos.
Worth it.
Totally worth it.
Remind me to bring up video game and video game violence later when we talk about Rittenhouse.
Oh, that's gonna crop up. I remember very clearly.
Okay, yeah.
He put me down. So Biden.
Yeah, so he did that, and it wouldn't have been so bad. Obviously, like everyone's gonna rip on him for saying that. Like, you could have said anything else. I understand that's the word, that's the name of the fucking league, even in a historical context. I get
Yeah.
it. However, it was because he accidentally said a great Negro
Oh.
and then tried to fix himself, right? Then tried to fix himself by saying the Negro leagues.
But it's not a
It didn't.
profanity. It's not
No.
a slur because he was saying the
Yeah.
Spanish word for black, negro.
Which is different, apparently.
Is that how you say it?
but
Because you say it better than I do. Is that how you say it?
Negro.
Thank you.
Negro.
I can't do it as well.
That's fine. It's okay. I have
Token
practice.
Hispanic.
Yeah, thanks. But no, that's a very different. Like going to buy something that is black is very different than going to buy a black.
What kind of jeans do you wear? I wear a Negro jeans.
Yeah. Jeans the negro? No, jeans a negro. Oh, okay. I think you get shot. Actually, I think you might deserve to get shot.
Part of me is sat here, by the way, because I'm realizing we're saying this on our stream, and I feel a bit uncomfortable doing that because I don't like, because I know what people are trying to say and what he means, not, but because of the execution, it makes me wonder if it's a little bit racist or not.
I mean, I'm on their side.
Fantastic. I mean, I'm blue. Does that count?
I'm on their side. I disagree with our president saying that.
I disagree with him saying it, but at the same time, I kind of don't really care that he said it.
Sure.
I care.
Too.
I care, but only because, and I said to you before the stream, if we're going to hold people to this standard, then you've got to be consistent and not selective. You cannot keep claiming the predecessor. Actually, it was some of the replies on the video, in fact. Oh yeah, but Biden may have said that, but Trump said African American. And I'm just sat there.
Yeah,
like,
look at my African American over here when he said that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Which, by the way, that guy was thrilled. By the way,
just gonna say also to add to that, that's not the point. You cannot address a point by deflecting onto another person.
Not only that,
it was Biden, John. Yeah, it was Biden. It was Biden.
Yeah,
let's go, Brandon.
But I also want to point out that the media said it wasn't even. He didn't even say it.
Right.
So there's also that whole aspect to this strange.
How do you not? It's on C-SPAN.
I don't know. I don't know.
We watched the video.
It was the material, I think, which is a garbage fucking news outlet. And they were like, he did not call this man a Negro, and I'm like, it's on tape.
But he legit called. Oh, it was a baseball
pitcher.
player.
I forget his name right now.
Page.
Yeah.
Satchel Paige. Satchel Paige. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Baseball
is not my sport, guys.
I should remember the name Satchel. I was thinking about it earlier. Yeah. No. It's just. It's such a stupid thing to say.
Like, I wouldn't even, if I were in his position, I wouldn't have even touched that phrasing, that wording, right? If I had to deal with the kind of shit that I know that people want to catch him on, Don't even give them the ammunition. I bet you the handlers in the back wing were like, shut up, make him shut up.
Yeah. And just
God,
because
it's
by
bad.
the way, there's a amusing thing. There's a quote that was underneath the video. In 1977, Biden said the following: "I don't want my children to grow up in a jungle, a racial jungle."
Yeah, he did say that too.
Come
I mean,
on,
that's why I
people.
made the comment. That's why I made the comment earlier. The man's a racist.
I'm sorry, but you said that this guy's a racist, but you were willing to vote in another guy as the lesser of two evils. What is wrong with you? Not all leftists, by the way. Just the sheeple.
Mm-hmm.
Sheeple.
But even more so, like, remember, Kamala Harris called him a racist.
Yeah, she
Like,
did
to
actually.
his face.
She did during the debates, didn't she? Didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He literally during the debates on stage, and it was in regards to busing, and yet that's the person who was like, "Hey, you know what? I'll work with this racist. That would be good
So
for my
it's a thing. You
career."
mentioned Harris. I did in our tab. I've linked some sources I gathered on her because she was trending.
Oh
And people are
God.
wondering if her vanishing act is by choice or at the behest of Biden's advisors, because she's slowly not been sort of as visible over the past few months since assuming VP office. And I read the Telegraph article, and all I can say is, what a load of shite. There you go. Done it for you.
Also, that's okay. She doesn't have to show up.
She has an approval rating lower than Macron's.
Yeah,
What do you
she has a worse.
expect?
She has a worse approval than Biden, and Biden's in the 30s.
His is going down. He's not getting a second term. So,
No, he's not.
on to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Woo! All right. So, like
Oh,
everybody
dear
else,
Lord.
I have been glued to, in my case, Nick Rekieta's stream. Which, if you
Okay.
guys haven't
Oh my
watched
God.
it's been glorious.
Watch it when I've seen some like gotcha moments drop on his streams. We had people there, and he's just been his arms have gone out. And he's like, "What the was this? What is this?" I didn't watch all.
Absolutely.
I've just seen the clips circulating because I've been watching Ranting Monkey because I like him. I did put obviously I said earlier Direwolf. I have seen some coverage from Emily D. Baker, or as now we should refer to her because whenever she talks about legal stuff, she has tits, and that's not right, and you can't take her seriously. Mummy milkers. I've been watching these people cover bits here and there, either on Twitter or on stream, and holy fuck!
I think Chaos. I think Uncivil Law was actually cameoing on Rekieta's stream for a bit. Eventually, he had a panel of like 12 people. He had Viva Fry, Legal Bites, Uncivil Law. Yeah, he had a whole bunch of folks on that stream after a while. It was literally like the panel of fucking lawyers, just fucking powwowing over this kind of shit. It was glorious to watch them. And also, despite what you might think about Rekieta and how he handles things and all that stuff, and how he's an edgy boy, he doesn't mind inviting people who have differing opinions. And Barnes, Robert Barnes, who also is there. He doesn't mind having other people on there to have a discussion. But the problem is that even if you're not a professor of law in some bullshit university, most agree that what's going on in the courtroom collectively, not even just on the prosecution side, just everything is confusing as fuck and stupid. Some things that like the prosecution is doing is just wholly unacceptable.
Oh, the prosecution! Oh my God, they've been memed.
The prosecution is an actual asshole. But Richards, the defense attorney, isn't helping his client. Okay.
No, I will say I remember the first thing I saw, and it was it Gage taking the stand.
Yeah, Gage Groswitz.
And I think the first thing I heard him say was essentially admitting self-defense.
Yep.
And I was like, I think I did tweet it. Well, Gage just fucked that up, didn't he?
Yeah.
I was like, you've kind of ruined this. Prosecution are going to have a bit of fun here.
The opening statements from both sides. were like they were arguing the other case.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I don't know why, but both sides of this legal case, there's one guy on the defense team. He's the bald one. He's the only good one, in my opinion. Like every time I see him go up to cross or to direct on a witness, everything he usually says, slam dunk. There might be some that I forget off the top of my head, but every time I can think of it, slam dunks always. But Richards has a bad habit of just not doing anything when he's supposed to, and yeah, just there's a lot of shit that should be handled, but it's not being handled. The amount of objections just to speculation on a certain situation, like, oh, so for example, you knew that the police were going to come down to Sheridan Avenue to handle the people you just shot, right? He goes, and Kyle will respond, yes, with a question mark, because how the fuck is he supposed to know what the police were planning to do? Like, who is actually expected to know half of the shit that have been asked in Cross by the fucking prosecution? Binger.
To be fair, they also tried to get Rittenhouse on the fact I believe he indicated he was in an emergency medical something.
Yeah, but, I mean that he actually did. He did screw himself over by saying I lied. I'm not an EMT. What he should have said is I was an EMT cadet. Whatever.
Well, I think he did try to explain that, but
the difference is so minuscule. But if you ever say I lied while I'm on the stand, like, no, bad.
But let's go back. Let's go back earlier, so we don't jump straight into the juicy bits. So there were conditions already agreed upon with this. Judge, and we know about this because the judge reprimanded in a very I watched that when it unfolded. That was I've never seen a judge get so angry at certain points or evidence being, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they had agreed to these terms.
It's very rare to see a judge actually explode. But yeah, there's a brief.
Yeah, they agreed to these terms, and then they start. The opening statements weren't a great performance overall, really, were they?
No, the prosecution basically was detailing out in his opening statement how much of a shitstorm that night was. I'm talking about, like, how much fucking arson and assaults and rioting was actually going on. He didn't use those words, but he would talk about a little bit of assault, a little bit of arson, right?
I'll be honest,
a
little bit is too much. A little bit
of felonies.
A little bit is too much. It's unacceptable, regardless. Don't downplay it. Arson, not you, them.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and by the way, honestly, the word mistrial came to my head so many times over the course of this.
Oh, at the very beginning of the cross-examination of Kyle Rittenhouse, when the judge actually pulled him aside, I thought it was going to happen right there. But let's talk about the actual, like, I don't think anybody really started paying attention until Gage Grosswitz went up on.
So who is that?
So Gage is the only one who didn't get shot and killed.
They're the one that got hit in the arm, didn't they?
Yes. So he basically got filleted on the stand by the defense, asking him, so you filed a report to the court saying that you want $10 million from the city of Kenosha for what happened. He's like, yes. He goes, in this whole brief, you didn't mention you had a gun. Correct. And in this federal document, you again did not mention you had a gun. He goes, that is correct. Why? Why would you leave that out? And some of his responses were, oh, I forgot. And any other answer was just basically deflection of him saying that if I had said that, then I wouldn't have, gotten anywhere near getting money because I would have looked like the bad guy.
He kind of screwed himself when he was being questioned by the prosecution. He was answering their
Uh,
questions poorly as well.
yes, yes. I don't remember entirely which ones he fucked those up on,
That's when I
but I
first
do
saw it.
remember.
I first saw it because I think he admitted the self-defense thing then.
Mhm.
By the way, just want to insert this now. The two that are dead. Now, if memory serves, one is a sex offender, correct?
Yes,
The other one is
Rosenbaum.
one's a bomb person, yeah?
He is a wife beater
Okay.
officially.
Now, I'm not saying they deserve to die. That's not at my place. I'm never going to say that. But this entire trial is hinging on the backs of of a domestic abuser and a child molester.
Um, uh, he,
They're deaths anyway.
Molester's a little nice, actually.
I thought I'd be polite about it.
Child rapist.
I didn't want to use it.
5, in fact.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid that word.
Yeah, that's okay. It's on public record. Anyway,
Uh,
so let's if that's right. All of this is hinging on the deaths of a wife beater and a 5-time convicted child sex felon.
Now, I do want to say, but they're still dead. So yes, of course, due process should be, regardless of what they've done. Of course,
Mhm.
due process should,
Yeah,
should take place. Of course,
definitely.
of course, I couldn't agree more. Glad they're not here though.
No, and absolutely, I fully believe that the due process should take its course. I do I do understand though that the situation that is currently going on in this Kenosha trial is really, really complicated in the sense that you have a seemingly unbiased jury or a jury that at least said that they can put aside their biases.
Some have been dismissed for cracking jokes.
Yes, one did, and the joke was, why did police use 7 bullets on Jacob Blake? And the punchline was because was it they had to reload or something like that.
Who's Jacob Blake?
That was the one that started the Kenosha riots. It was an unarmed black man who got shot.
Oh,
I don't remember why.
that is a spicy joke.
It is, but it's yeah, oops.
Big oopsie.
I guess.
I mean, good for them. I
I don't
guess
know
they're
which
they're not
side
involved
he
in the
was
jury
on.
anymore. I guess.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what side he was on, so I don't know if it's a net benefit for my personal opinions.
Okay. So
Um,
you got the
yeah.
you got Gage on the stand. They cock up.
hmm
Who's next?
I think they had a couple of cops on directly after Gage. I think they had an investigator, a detective, I think,
Yep.
who the one who Gage had spoken with, and there was something stupid that he had mentioned. I believe one of the important aspects that was mentioning that detective was why he didn't execute a search warrant on Gage Grosswitz's phone, and he basically said that there are times in which, as a police officer, you don't execute search warrants if information changes or you feel like it's not relevant anymore. And in my personal opinion, I feel like the cops shouldn't be able to make that decision. That sounds like a really good avenue to get. Uh, oh, that's right. Jacob Blake was that one. That was the one who tried to abduct somebody into a car. Right.
Ah, right. Well, correction time.
I remember now.
We may have gotten something
Yeah.
wrong there. Sorry about that. I didn't know. Also,
No,
Chaos. I don't really do a true crimes. I mean, maybe it is, but it's a very watered down version. I'm going to try and do that next year, though. Proper true crime.
but
Maybe.
he um but he basically had refused to go through Gage Grosswitz's phone,
Mm-hmm.
which at the time Gage didn't even have because he allegedly dropped it, and the gun uh, at the scene. The phone allegedly was picked up by somebody else, and presumably, based on what I understood from the comments, he has it back now,
Yeah.
which makes me think that they should still serve that warrant.
Just to address Garrett, I had heard that rumor because I saw it floating around Twitter and in the news that the detective is related to the mayor of Kenosha, which does
I haven't done any personal research into that. You might be correct. I cannot say for certain.
I'll have a little look. You carry on.
But in my opinion, the most interesting situation um, was when Kyle went up on the stand. Now, of course, all of the lawyers during Ricado's panel and everybody else on Twitter was like, "Why in the fuck have you brought your defendant onto the stand? A defendant who had previously been using their right to remain silent to avoid answering any questions. That is his right, and he's allowed to do that. But why on earth would you put them up on the stand? It only invites bad possibilities." Apparently, they didn't care, or it was Kyle's decision to do so. Um, but he goes up there, and in the middle of recounting the situation in which Rosenbaum and Huber were closing in on him and having to shoot them, he breaks down in tears. Well, in hysterics, essentially. He starts hyperventilating. He gets really worked up, and this is where I started to notice people go fully fucked up individuals, right? So the panel, Viva Fry in particular, made the comment when it was happening that well, of course, look at the man. The man is clearly suffering from moments of PTSD, having to shoot somebody. Um, that is a traumatic experience for anybody, let alone a 17-year-old at the time who is currently reliving this story on the stand. Um, and but you had people in the media on Twitter like LeBron James, like Hakeem Jeffries, like Michael Tracy, who all thought that they were crocodile tears. That they said, he was faking it, which is the single most disgusting thing I remember I can think of after a year, right, of believing victims to
Okay.
uh uh-huh.
Right. Sorry, someone had just put it in
Yeah.
the chat, but I have got confirmed. Yeah, the detective is actually the nephew of the mayor.
Oh, that's
But
not
and also
sus.
mentioned there the DA is the mayor's cousin. To be fair, the mayor, I've just looked this guy up. He has served. He has served so many. John Antaramian. He's Armenian American. Okay, I don't know how to pronounce that shit.
Okay, fair
He
enough.
was mayor from 1992 to 2008, and then from 2016 to present. He has been mayor of Kenosha for over 20 years total, with a gap in the middle.
Interesting.
Like this guy is a
Very
lot. It's very unusual.
yes.
But yeah,
Very sus.
there are a lot of family ties here. Clearly, Kenosha's a lot smaller than I thought.
Yes, always interesting when you find all these family ties and you wonder how people got jobs. Um But no, Phoebes is right in the chat. It's frustrating that all of the celebrities making those comments, they don't want know any real details of the trial. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I know that I have been sitting there, eyes glued to the fucking screen,
Mm,
watching this happen all fucking day for the last 8 days. I
yeah.
didn't watch today because of the jury instructions.
Yeah, no, I didn't either today, but I was busy doing uncool stuff.
Um, but yeah, of course, you know that these people aren't actually paying any attention. They're just hearing it from somebody else and piggybacking off of them, and it's it would it would be funny if it weren't so sad, but it is completely sad and disappointing at best, and negligent at worst, in my opinion. Some have even said that Rittenhouse should sue them for libel. I don't know if he probably shouldn't do
Mm,
that. That probably
mm,
isn't the best plan.
I think for the sake of
Probably
optics,
don't.
perhaps just not yet. No, no, no.
Yeah, maybe after.
Maybe,
Um,
yeah.
but for now, handle the thing in front of you. Um,
I do want to
But
just quickly address something. You mentioned LeBron, and obviously I'd linked you the tweets that had Juicy Small Bits, Jussie Smollett, the actor who faked a racism crime, trending because LeBron had ignorantly made a really shit comment when it came to the case of Carl Rittenhouse. Where is the comment? Oh, here it is. What tears? I didn't see one. Man, knock it off. The boy ate some lemon heads before walking into court, which is a retweet of USA Today and a small clip of Carl Rittenhouse getting clearly overwhelmed about the situation he's in, with the majority of people who recognized it identifying the reaction to that of someone going through a form of PTSD. Which, consider this: he's not a man, and he's killed some people. It's going to hit him hard, and it's going to hit him really hard on a stand, especially when his freedom is being put in. His freedoms are at risk.
Well, it's really like it's really something when I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but any of the chat also would understand the difference between knowing something that happened and then having to verbally say it is a very, very different reaction. I know that in my head I can think of something very, very sad in my life, and if I were to say it out loud, I may start crying. Right? There is something about actually the act of speaking about trauma that is a much more impactful. And I
People,
think that was an instance of what was happening with
people that
Kyle.
were downplaying this or trying to fob it off, grow the fuck up. And I know some people say that if you are an athlete, you stick to your sport. You're entitled to your opinion. Of course you are. But you're a fucking moron if you are so quick to disregard all this just because you saw other photos after or before the shooting of him trying to look tough. It doesn't take away from the impact of what will eventually come at you. Alright? I promise anyone who thinks otherwise is stupid. So LeBron James, much like that new Space Jam movie, you're a fucking I'm not going to call you... No, I'm going to call you a retard. You're an actual retard. You know you are. He's not even a fully grown adult. Come on.
Not only that, but man, you're taking pot shots at a at a kid for literally having stood up for himself. Meanwhile, LeBron is so in the pocket of China that he won't even stand by his own teammate in calling out China on their bullshit.
Honestly, that doesn't surprise me. The man of consistency. By the way, the reason
a big game for being absolute shit.
So the reason why Juicy Small Bits was trending is because LeBron James defended Juicy Small Bits over all that crap. Like, you're such a reactionary. Grow the fuck up. Go be wealthy and hide in a mountain somewhere in a mansion. No one cares really what you think, and don't even try acting anymore. It's really bad. Your acting is worse than Michael Jordan's, all right?
Yeah, but Michael Jordan actually at least pulled it off.
I actually enjoyed Space Jam, the original one. I had all the stickers. I was so happy.
Yeah, I think it was actually a good movie.
Not this time.
Also, I loved what's his face in it. Oh God, what the fuck's his name? He owns the he lives in South Carolina. He's the comedian.
Is he the beady-eyed guy with the glasses?
No, not that one. The other one. Bill Murray.
Oh, the guy from Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
Bill Murray. Yeah. You're all good.
Yeah, I was like, for some reason, I couldn't come up with a name. There's been a lot of names flying around my head.
Back to the trial, though.
Yes.
So should we get to Rittenhouse going on the stand then? Since we've already
definitely. Right. We've already begun that.
Go on then.
You're right. So he gets flustered. He gets freaked out. All these people are coming out talking about how he's crying crocodile tears. All of y'all, fuck off. And so then he returns to the stand. 10 minutes. The judge gave him 10 minutes to handle this. He completes the direct, and the prosecution starts its cross-examination of the witness. And within like a single sentence or two, he starts commenting about how the defendant had not spoken until hearing the testimony of others so that he may tailor his story. which, by the way, is not
Hang
illegal.
on. I'm sorry, but what?
So
He
basically
he
said,
couldn't say anything before then anyway. Unless I
well,
misheard
he
you.
could have. He had basically done media silence.
That was the
Right.
right thing to do.
Right, correct. He invoked his right to remain silent on media interviews and things of the like.
They'll just try and trap him or get him to say things that would then be contradicted in court. He needs to. Only time he needs to speak is the moment he takes the stand. Not a
And
moment
by the
before.
way, that is for anybody and everybody. Okay,
It is your right.
If you are ever, well, at least in America, if you are ever in a situation with the police, you not only have the right to remain silent, but it is actually in your best interest. You want to remain silent because anything you say can and
will be used against you.
will be used against you. Right?
I mean,
that's the really important part of the fucking will be.
It's almost like that is practiced for a reason.
Yes.
Who would have believed it?
So calling them out, right? Calling him out in front of the jury not only makes the jury question whether or not that in fact is an admission to guilt, but it is in fact a constitutional. I don't know if he called it a constitutional infringement, essentially, to bring that into question before the jury because it can potentially fuck up the jury in their opinions. It is essentially a way to make the jury believe, hey, by the way, this thing
Can't be
that this
trusted.
person did, yes.
You're poisoning the well. That's what
speak.
you're doing.
Yeah, essentially.
Nice, and that's interesting because
And
anytime I see poisoning the well, I see one of them on Twitter, and he's very much on the side of guilt.
mhm.
And I'm like, Fane, man, shut the fuck up, man. I love you, but come on, buddy, come on.
I don't, because you don't talk to me.
It's why I archive tweets just so you can see them.
But yes, basically, never talk to the cops. More than you have to, and even when you have to, very little needs to be said.
And only with legal representation present to make sure you don't get caught out.
Well, I mean, I'm even talking about like getting pulled over on the side of the road. There's actually very little you have to say. In an instance where they say, "Where are you coming from?" You don't have to answer that. Where are you going? You don't have to answer that. They will question you, even more so because you're gonna be looking weird by not saying anything.
Miranda right. What is that?
But Miranda rights is you have the right to remain silent.
Oh, that's the phrase, yeah. The whole speech. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Anything you can say can and will be used against you in the court of law if you do not. You have a right to an attorney. If
What's
you
the fifth?
Cannot afford. Fifth Amendment is you have the right against self-incrimination. Against self-incrimination. So basically, you cannot stand to testify as a witness against yourself. It's the reason why Bill Cosby is no longer in prison.
So, for those who don't know, the reason I'm asking this, if you listen on Spotify, is because I'm reading the YouTube chat and little bits pop up, and I, being English, don't know. Probably do know them, but I've forgotten them, and I need to be reminded on an irregular basis by, well, my delicious co-host here. Thank you. We have 201 followers, by the way. Woo!
Yeah. And also, by the point that you're getting Mirandized, you're usually arrested already. Yeah. But what people don't realize is they have the right to remain silent without being arrested. But that's because I somewhat lean libertarian, and so that's where that all comes from.
You're a conserva cuck, according to people who don't like you.
I have heard this. Yes.
How's your super male vitality doing, huh?
As good as my colloidal silver.
Colloidal silver. Nice.
I don't know what it is about silver, but they put it in everything right now. They're like, yeah, this shirt has silver in it. I'm like, what does that do?
Is
this get a +1 to armor buff?
No. You get Salt Bay, mate. You get Salt Bay over that. He's not doing salt, though. He's doing a little bit of pepper. Because it's silver, not gold. All right. So, Rittenhouse on the stand. How'd it go?
Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah. So after the prosecutor makes these comments about the Fifth Amendment, and he orders the jury into the library, out of the room, so he can rail against the prosecutor. and almost calls a mistrial right there because he talks about how the line of questioning is completely over the line, and in terms of ethics, it's completely out of what is allowed by a attorney of his level and experience. He should have known better, was the comment made by the
This
judge.
caused essentially a 10-minute semantics argument, and you could tell how pissed off the judge was getting. Like he let him explain himself because he's like, if you'd let me just explain myself, you just let me explain, and he does, and he's still completely redundant. And I'm surprised the judge didn't throw it out at that point because it was a massive waste of time.
Well, right. But he didn't get as angry at this point as he does later.
Oh, is that? I've got to confuse the two, haven't I?
Well, it's okay because they've strung them all together.
I may have missed the first one.
Right. The first one was a constitutional question.
Oh no, this one was the previous agreements and him going quite clearly ignoring it. Yeah.
Right. So that one was the instance of bringing up oh god, what was it? It was a similar line of questioning regarding oh god, do you remember? Do you have that up?
Have what
that, part of the why he flipped out the second time?
Oh god,
it had something.
It'd have to be.
It was something along the lines of a previous motion that they had.
It was a pre-existing agreement.
Right. There were essentially certain topics that the judge did not allow the prosecution or the defense, or there was essentially a list of things that the judge said, do not broach this topic in front of the jury. And the prosecutor goes ahead and does it anyway because of, in his opinion, the testimony allowed it.
Oh yeah, that
the door for a line of questioning.
The semantics argument. This is where this has been memed and shown so many clips of it.
Well, I actually get so angry at this point because based on everything I know, you never, ever argue with the judge in front of the judge.
Oh, they didn't just try to argue.
You can argue with the judge after.
Hang on. You just said argue with the judge in front of the judge.
Yes, I'm aware. I know exactly what I said, and I think that that's still accurate.
Oh, I thought you meant jury. Sorry.
No. Argue with the judge in front of the judge and in the courtroom.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone do this personally. I've never seen it before. So to me, I was like, how has this guy not been like given like 12 hours and cool in one of those nice little horny jail pods with a bunch of other blokes, you know?
Well, that's the thing. You can be held in contempt.
Honestly, yeah.
But all the lawyers were basically saying that what he was doing was so ballsy and so stupid. And for no reason.
Oh, it was
like there was nothing that he was gonna get out of it. Because basically he was arguing with something that the judge knew full well what he was talking about and just didn't care what the other guy had to say.
Part of me thought, because as this trial unfolded, more and more people realised the prosecution's argument doesn't quite doesn't carry enough oomph. So what like people on the keyboard warriors were doing, for example, was they were then going after the judge. And part of me had wondered if the prosecution had seen this and thought, why don't I contribute to this by having him look like an absolute idiot? But it failed because the judge absolutely layeth the smacketh downeth.
Yeah.
He was like, fuck you. Do what I tell me.
Well, not only that, but if there's an agreement set forth by the you call a thing. You ask the judge to approach the bench and ask questions, right? You don't do it just because you think, right? And that was why he got so mad. He was fuming. And then I think he gets fucking pissed off again that same night. I think this was all fucking Wednesday, and it was just a really bad time.
Oh yeah. It was the best. When I was watching that on Monkey's stream, I stopped editing videos. I stopped everything to watch this judge absolutely go knucking fuss. A lot of people are saying, he needs to be removed because he's being biased or not allowing evidence. He's not allowing for all this context to be properly explored. Others are saying he's based because of his ringtone. Some saying he's based because of of food he ordered, or because oh no, that was the food, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah. It was because wasn't he reading a book?
Oh yeah, because he was getting Asian food, and then made the comment that some newspaper. He said, "I can hear it already. The newspaper is going to call me the racist judge or whatever."
Yeah, yeah. Wasn't there a picture of him reading a cookbook? I don't know if that was real or not, though.
Yeah, at some point, I don't remember when. It could have been like at any point. I don't
it was
know.
Either like a magazine with cookies or something. Bless you. And
yeah, I think it was People Magazine or some shit.
Yeah,
but
like it was amazing. I thought it was funny though because I was watching these two prosecutors just absolutely. I was trying to in my head. I could have sworn I've seen the guy with the spiky hair. I've seen him somewhere before, and I realized wasn't he like the guy with all the money that made ship weapons in Iron Man 2?
Oh,
and that seems somewhat like art imitating life because of how shit his arguments are. Much like in Iron Man 2, trying to argue semantics and try and lure you in with some charm.
So talking about the fucking the judge, by the way, they're trying to get him removed too.
Yeah.
Fucking genius Tara Dublin on Twitter, who has been called out by Defiant L's, which is a page that usually follows Defiant Brooklyn Dad.
Yeah.
And just comments about how much of a fucking leftist shill he is.
Justin Hammer, thank you.
Who's this? What?
Justin Hammer, Iron Man 2.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and it was a catalogue for cookies.
Oh, you're right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He does, doesn't he? He does look like him, right?
Yeah, you're right. Holy shit.
I saw that and I want to meme him so bad.
Right. And, okay, so Tara Dublin gets called out, right? Because she says, we do not participate in Roy Moore pickup lines because we do not make fun of sexual assault, but extra especially when it's kids. And then Tara Dublin had made that comment in response to Kid Vicious, who says, I have zero sympathy for Kyle Rittenhouse. Black and Latino kids have been imprisoned and killed for just the color of their skin. I'm not going to even get into that.
Still ongoing.
And it's a picture of Kyle literally mid freak out.
Oh yeah.
And Tara goes, and that's the same face Kyle Rittenhouse will be making during his first time in the prison shower.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
that's not a good look.
A whole bunch of people were like, "Excuse you? That's kind of inappropriate, don't you think?"
It's a bit. No, we don't.
That's a bit much.
Don't do them things, okay?
Yeah, that's quite a spicy take from somebody who has the opinions that she does about wokeism, essentially.
Yeah.
And oh my god, she was so contrite.
Yeah, I noticed
with on her page after all that. Oh, she was getting called out, and she was like, "I removed all the trolls." And then she goes out and makes a fucking comment, says, "All right, let's take away this judge's seat in Illinois." And I want to remind everybody that the joke tells itself. The trial is happening in Wisconsin.
I mean,
you wrote a petition.
You can get removed
to the Illinois State House.
You can get removed from there if you want.
You can try.
Joke.
But absolutely insane fucking people.
Yeah.
Making dumbass comments and don't even have the wherewithal to quit.
They don't know when to. Okay, no, so I've seen a lot of polls from many commentators, mostly those who would say were more conservative leaning, especially if anyone's defending Rittenhouse. How dare you? And their polls have always centered around innocent or guilty. No middle ground, innocent or guilty. And we'll ask the chat as well. Do you believe Kyle Rittenhouse is innocent? Now, if you're in the chat, press 1 if you believe he's innocent, and 2 if you think he's guilty. Trups, is he innocent or guilty?
I believe he is innocent of all charges.
And what makes you say that?
With a combination of the video evidence and the admission by the witness regarding when they were shot in the position they were, holding a gun pointed at Kyle's head.
Yeah.
I believe that all 3 murder charges should be acquitted on, and the residual stuff that is left is a gun possession charge, which shouldn't actually hold any water whatsoever, in my opinion, because A, it's not his gun. B, he was basically doing it in a situation that
Well, he's been
would
chased,
allow him to. Yeah. He didn't carry it over state lines like others would say.
Oh, they
but I
keep
think
saying that,
that,
don't they?
But he was also 17, and the rules are specifically for those who are 16 in terms of gun possession in Wisconsin. So,
do you think Kyle Rittenhouse will be found innocent or not guilty?
I think he is going to be found innocent, and I'll tell you why. In Wisconsin, you have to adjudicate on, or you have to find on all charges, guilt or innocence. You don't get to break down, like, on the count of murder against Anthony Huber, what does the jury find? No, it's on all charges, what do you find? Oh, the gun charge got dropped today. Sick!
Well,
I didn't know if they actually... I had heard some things where the judge was still thinking about it. I don't know if they actually ever did.
Okay, well, that's one less thing to be concerned about. I, for the sake of it, I'm not going to offer an opinion on this because I don't want to have a fight with someone on Twitter, and someone will invariably try and start with me. But Trups is more than happy to have these fights, so by all means, go follow him on Twitter. On Twitter. That's something else. On Twitter, Twitter is a police officer in season 3 of House. I was watching it.
Oh,
earlier.
good.
Coincidental.
Yes, if you follow me, I'm sure you will see all of the different fights I get into.
Yeah. For this, and I don't get. Yeah, I was about to say, is it Trups LP on Twitter? Yeah, it is no underscores, thankfully.
Yes, I removed those.
At Trups. Please go follow him if you want to have a fight with him, or if you just want to see some bants.
Yeah.
I have no doubt this is going to pop up next week.
Yes. The jury was released for the weekend, like, early on in the day.
Released. Go home released or back to a hotel released?
You know, I don't know the rules that they have to follow right now, besides don't watch the news.
That's going to be interesting.
That's a hard act.
Yeah,
right
don't go on Twitter right now, folks. Don't watch YouTube. Don't watch TV. Pick up a book.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not one from this year. Preferably nothing talking about Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah, basically it's all of those things.
You're reading the Bible and Harry Potter. You're welcome.
You are playing video games. But
hey, play Call of Duty. Play Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah. That reminds me. The thing that I wanted to comment about.
Okay, there you go. Got you, bro.
Comments that the prosecutor said, "Oh, so you have an AR-15? Yeah, okay. When you hang out with your friend Dominic Black, do you play games where those kinds of guns exist? Yeah, I guess." He goes, "Isn't it true that you and Dominic play Call of Duty together?" He goes, "Yeah." Yeah? He goes, isn't the purpose of games like that to kill everybody else with your gun? And Kyle incredulously looks at him and goes, it's a fucking game, dude. Not literally, but paraphrasing. In his face and his smirk, he says, "No, but it's a game. It's not real life." But in my mind, it's a fucking game. What are you, stupid?
The perfect response for that would have been if Carl had just looked at him and gone, "Okay, boomer," because that's exactly the mentality. The games cause violence. No. Shut the fuck up.
Also, I want to point out that I think at one point Kyle actually nails it. He goes, "Aren't guns like the AR-15 in games like Call of Duty?" He goes, "Yeah, and shotguns and pistols and a whole bunch of other guns."
Yeah.
Which I think was actually the smartest response.
Pointing out that all guns are in there. It'd be easier to name a gun that isn't on there.
True. After all of the different Call of Duty variants, it would probably be easier to name a gun.
Yeah, and actually, just for the sake of it, Blacklight Only, it's like metal music makes you violent. Yes, that's why I regularly take an axe downtown after listening to some Christopher Lee. You're welcome. And disclaimer. No, I don't. Shut up. All right. Okay. I'm just being...
Oh, I actually made those comments to people. It was like, yeah, video games make you violent. Metal music makes you violent. Rap makes you a thug. What was it? D&D leads to
virginity.
Well, yes.
Incelness.
But also no. I think it was demon worship was what they had said back in the day.
I see no. I mean, which Ed rules are we talking here? Because if it's early enough, it might be.
It was 1 and 2.
I mean, 2, I can agree. I can understand it. Yeah.
And then once you get into Pathfinder, then clerics and paladins. I love the idea of a paladin. That should be the most thing that's been rooted.
But we needed them in 2 because then they would have purged us of the demon that we were worshipping.
What are you talking about? If you were able to play a paladin back then, could you imagine? Like being a kid in the 80s playing D&D, your parents come down and say, "This leads to demon worship." And you go, "But mother, I'm playing a paladin, so I may smite the demons." Are you telling me I can't smite the demons, mother?
That accent was hot. I'm just saying.
I don't know what accent I was trying to do.
It was very English. It was English, mate. It was English. Mother, yes.
Mother, please.
Let me smite this demon with my hammer.
With my hammer of justice.
Justice. I'm just so.
Yes, quite. But these are things that apparently we don't get to discuss. Because they're bad for us, right?
Bards. Oh my god.
Right? It's bad for us, video games, they cause violence, man.
I'm not gonna name the person, but I still think it's funny that there was someone playing a game of D&D with some people, and they played a bard, which is high charisma, lots of character talking and all that.
Charisma and wisdom.
But the problem with their bard was they were a mute.
Did they sign? That would actually be a pretty cool fucking character.
No, they just said fuck all. Fuck all. They did nothing. It's what I'd heard about from other people that played. I'm just like, it's the stupidest thing ever. I'm sorry, you've taken your only real attribute and gone, I'm gonna shit on that. It's like being a midget archer and then deciding to ignore the encumbered rule and turning up with a couple 100 arrows just to be safe. What's wrong with you?
It better be a short bow.
Thank
you.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. Fuck it. I think we're done because we're just going into the realm of D&D and violence and video games now.
Woohoo! Yeah, but the Rittenhouse trial is an absolute fucking clusterfuck. It's fun as shit to watch. You have your pick of all the individuals to watch. If you follow both myself and Meg, you'll see where we go for our Rittenhouse stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll probably be sending out links when they promote their stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you want to come find our stuff, come join us.
There is a Moisky Twitter account. Trups isn't as active on it. I do use it when I remember. I might make it a point to put some like relevant sources there to the Rittenhouse trial, things that I think are more pertinent. And if Trups wants to start a fight on it, he should, because it's hilarious.
Yeah, I try. I don't know how much you want me to get into fights on Twitter on
You
that
can
account.
do as much as you want. I couldn't care less.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
Let's
like,
do it.
I legit don't care. It's not my main
Alright,
account.
cool.
You're quite all. I mean, I don't want to lose my main one. That's fine. Just go nuts on the other one.
Okay.
All right.
I will be sure to go and find every blue check mark and call them a. No, you know what, I'm not gonna say that while we're still in stream.
You're gonna call him that that negro, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we're done, thank you very much for joining us. I don't know. Has Trump's got anything to promote?
No.
Is
no.
Trump's back here next week?
Yeah. I think so. This is the 19th. I should be.
Yeah, 19th.
The week after is when it gets weird because that's Thanksgiving week.
That's fine. No, we can obviously postpone a week then.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, next week we should be fine.
Woo! Okay, well then we'll see you all next week, 9:45 p.m. GMT, which is, I don't know, 5 hours or 6 hours different. 5 hours.
It is 4:45 Eastern time.
Boom! Okay, cool.